I want you to picture this. It is World War II, and you are a soldier in the Japanese army.
Right.
It's pitch black out. You need to read a map, but turning on a flashlight.
That is basically a death sentence.
Exactly. It completely gives away your position. So what do? You reach into your pocket, pull out this handful of dried powder, add a little water, and just crush it in your hand.
And suddenly you have light.
Yeah.
It is this cold blue glow that's just bright enough to read the map, but way too dim to alert the enemy.
It sounds like folklore, but they were actually using dried ostracods, these tiny crustaceans known as sea fireflies.
The umihotaru.
Right. And it's a documented historical application of bioluminescence, which is actually the launch pad for this deep dive today.
We're looking at this massive leap, going from literally crushing bugs in the 1940s to the modern science of engineering entire cities that glow.
It's wild, but to understand the future stuff, like those glowing trees you hear about, we have to look at the chemistry first.
And the recipe is surprisingly consistent across nature. Whether you are looking at a firefly or a mushroom, the sources point to three main ingredients: luciferin, luciferase, and oxygen.
So luciferin is the fuel molecule.
Right, and luciferase is the engine. It's the enzyme that triggers the reaction.
And then oxygen is the ignition key.
Exactly. When you introduce oxygen, the light happens.
And that oxygen part is crucial because if you cut off the air supply to these organisms, the light vanishes instantly.
It needs to breathe to glow.
Yeah. But what really fascinated me is how different fungi use this exact same recipe. Like you have foxfire, which is the Armillaria honey mushroom.
In that case, the mycelium glows. The root network inside the rotting wood is what creates that ghostly light on the forest floor.
Which is completely different from the jack-o'-lantern mushroom where only the gills glow.
Right.
But the one that really stood out is Pinella stypticus. It is a total geography puzzle.
A fascinating genetic mystery, really.
If you find it in the eastern U.S., it glows brilliantly. But if you find the exact same species in the Pacific Northwest or Russia or Japan?
Nothing. It is pitch black.
Right, so why the difference?
It suggests bioluminescence isn't a default setting. It is metabolically expensive. If the environment doesn't require it, evolution just switches it off to save energy.
Which brings up the big question. Why burn the calories to glow at all?
Marketing.
Fungal marketing.
Essentially, yes. The fungi need to spread their spores, and in a dense forest, the wind isn't always reliable. So the glow acts as a beacon for insects.
Beetles, flies, ants. They bump into the mushroom and carry the spores to new locations.
But they're not just glowing randomly either.
No, they aren't. I was looking at Jay Dunlap's research on circadian rhythms, and these mushrooms actually have internal clocks.
They regulate the intensity to peak at night when the insects are active, and then they dim during the day to save energy. It is a highly efficient system.
And researchers proved it works. They actually set up these fake acrylic mushrooms with green LEDs inside.
The glowing fakes attracted significantly more insects than the dark ones. The strategy is incredibly sound.
Which perfectly transitions us to the biotech breakthrough, because we have known about this chemistry for ages, but early attempts to make glowing plants were pretty clunky.
You had to constantly feed them external chemicals just to keep them lit.
Right until the caffeic acid cycle. This was the real aha moment for me.
Because caffeic acid isn't some rare lab chemical. It is already present in the cell walls of almost every plant.
Exactly. So scientists took the fungal genes that convert caffeic acid into light and spliced them into plants like tobacco and petunias.
And since the plant naturally produces the fuel, the light becomes entirely self-sustaining.
It creates a closed loop, recycling the chemicals without needing to be fed. That moves us from cool novelty items to actual utility.
We're talking about real function now. You could engineer biosensors, plants that glow brighter when they are stressed or when they detect environmental toxins in the soil.
And then there's the big vision, sustainable lighting.
The avatar dream.
Right. Trees lining a highway engineered to be bright enough to completely replace electric street lamps.
It completely challenges how we view infrastructure.
Yeah.
We usually think of technology as silicon and steel, but this is manufacturing on a biological, molecular level.
It's just wild to think we started with soldiers using crushed sea bug powder to read maps, and now we are looking at genetically modified petunias that function as lamps.
It definitely leaves you with a provocative thought.
Yeah.
If we can successfully turn trees into streetlights, does that mean the future of our entire energy infrastructure isn't in a power plant but in a greenhouse?